There we go.
There we go. Yeah, that's you now.
Sweet.
So we'll just give it a second or two more. As I can see a few people arriving, Christina. Obviously you know the drill. You've been here with me all day. So do you have a PowerPoint you want to get set up, and then that means you can get straight going if you're ready?
I have not created a PowerPoint because I just want this to kind of be a wind down time. I realized that there's so much information that has been passed on, and it's been an honor to follow everyone and hear all this information from all these different organizations. And it's one of those things where I was like, I could do a PowerPoint. However, I think that we're entering the point of death by PowerPoint. So I wanted to give everybody a little bit of a break.
Fantastic. Well, then, Christina, I will hand over to you. Christina will tell you a little bit more about what she does. But she works here at the Parent Rooms and is a fantastic asset to all of the programs that run. But I know she's going to share with you a little bit more about that, so I won't steal her thunder. And again, I'll go off camera, Christina, so that the floor is all yours. And thank you so much for what you're going to share.
Thanks. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Like I said before, it has been an absolute honor to be able to speak beside so many people in our community. They don't just speak about doing good, they're actively doing good every day, and they're being trailblazers. Someone said earlier about standing on the shoulders of giants, which is kind of how I feel ending up being the one ending the conference. Like Lindsay said, I am Christina McCann. I'm the Parent Support Coordinator for the Parent Rooms. So my job, I talk to every referral that gets sent through either self-referred or by a professional. And I talk to parents about their lives, good and bad. I give them an overview of the support we offer, and I also signpost them to others in the community. So this information that I've gotten today, I'm going to be able to implement it straight back into helping other parents. The goal of my position is to support parents, but also to create more supports in the community so we can grow our regional tribe, which is the point of this conference. This talk, the pandemic briefing, was born out of many conversations I've had with parents facing burnout on an unprecedented level. It's been a running theme in this conference that early intervention and empowering parents is what we should aim to be doing. And I can tell you that many, many parents are wondering if it's just them, if it's just them that are having this trouble, that they can't seem to get things right. And spoiler on my talk, it's not just you that's feeling overwhelmed right now. Michelle asked me to give this talk during one of our one-to-one planning meetings, just based on how many parents were telling us how overwhelmed they're feeling and that they're not really seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. So I promise not to get too sciencey, but this talk is based on cognitive psychology and how it could explain a lot of what's happening and make people, especially parents, feel spread extra thin. So if you've come to my talk for all the answers, I'm afraid this talk isn't a magic cure. But I hope to be able to walk you through some science behind our thoughts and cultural expectations that may just explain why you might be feeling so overwhelmed now, doing the same things you may have done just fine a couple years previously, what schemas are, and how you can use the science behind thoughts and choice to your benefit. So the first thing I'm going to ask you all to do is take a deep breath. And as you exhale, I want you to relax your shoulders and unclench your jaw. It has been such a wonderful day, full of information, but sitting this long can be difficult on all of us. When we think about our day, there are so many decisions that we have to make: what we will wear, what we'll have for breakfast, what route we'll take to work. Right now, I want you all to think of how many choices you have to make every single day, even if it's just a ballpark number. Any guesses? If you're feeling brave, you can pop it into the group chat, or you can throw it into Q&A. No one's feeling brave? 42, okay. Anyone else? So when I first 110, yeah. When I first thought about this, and I was really surprised to find out that according to Dr. Eva Krakow, researcher in decision making at University of Leicester, that number is actually 35,000 decisions that we make on average every day. Yes, 1,000. So if we truly had to think about each one, we would be running on empty. So you may ask yourself, why was I able to do so much more pre-pandemic than I am now? Having a routine and spending less energy on simple choices has been a topic of science and business communities for decades, which is why we see Steve Jobs in his iconic shirt. That defined look gave him more brain power to focus on creativity in work, and this has been coined as decision minimalism. It's a fancy way of saying that when you have less choices that you have to make, you can make better choices overall. Now think of how many choices you've had that have been made simpler by being able to plan ahead, or even rely on a social norm. This is backed by the theory of cognitive load. I promise science, and this is something that I absolutely loved in university. It was my way of hacking studying for exams and learning new materials. Cognitive load is how much the brain power that we have to think each and every day. And it was introduced by Dr. John Sweeler in 1988. He was trying to improve the understanding of working memory. So that's the memory that we use to focus on different tasks. It's how someone tells us a number or something to remember, and we're able to get to the other side of the house or call another person and pass that information on. What he found is that anything introduced to the learning environment that was unnecessarily complex or distracting from the main point increased the amount of energy it took from a person's brain to process it. So think when you have too many programs running on your computer, you can actively hear your computer trying to work, and everything processes slower, and often that leads to crashed programs and loss of unsaved files. And that's what happens to our memory when we're overwhelmed. There are a couple different kinds of cognitive load, and I'm sure that I could go into all of them, but I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to focus on the construction of schemas. Schemas are scripts that allow you to know what to do in any given situation. We have schemas for people. You know how to talk to certain friends or to get your child to a bath or bed without too much fight. It's because you've learned them. You have a little map in the back of your head to know what works for them and what doesn't. Household items, even script schemas for routines. So what you do every morning or how your workday goes, that's when it kind of runs on automation. That is a script schema, or that is a schema. So you don't really have to think about it. It's how you know what to do in a restaurant, to behave in a business meeting, or to how to host guests. You can't tell me that I am the only person who's reached my hand out instinctually when meeting someone new, only to decide whether to go for a fist bump or awkwardly abandon the gesture altogether with social distancing. Our schemas pre-pandemic are having trouble fitting in with the new social distance world. Even a simple trip to the grocery store has changed. So with every social outing we used to feel confident in, it's now swarmed with new questions. We're having to build all new scripts. We're having to have a whole new understanding of how to engage in our world. And we're seemingly in a perpetual state of decision overload. Think of the time when you started a new job or a hobby that was completely outside what you were familiar with. How long did it take you to build those understandings of new processes? For new parents, schemas that dictate how we allow our friends and family to help celebrate during the perinatal period, this has become more complex than ever. So thanks to the pandemic, now the question isn't just, do we have the baby shower? It's, can we, and if we do, how do we keep people distance? And is it safe to invite everyone? And since we can't do self-service on food and games, how do we do it? And can we invite people into our home, and have they been tested? You get the picture. So many more decisions. Due to the ever-changing guidelines, we feel as we can't use our once trusty schemas, and often struggle to plan ahead, as contact tracing alongside mandatory isolation throws a monkey wrench into the best of plans. This increased stress has led to many coping skills that have done more harm than good. Drinking, isolation, blaming others, anger, refusing to recognize or communicate your emotions, stopping doing things you once loved, stop going outside. I know you're all probably done hearing about the pandemic, and it seems like that's all people talk about anymore. But unlike many unfortunate things that we come into contact with, there isn't someone that we can turn to who's lived through this, that we can turn to who's an expert. There's no self-help books written about the pandemic. We are all on this new path together. So I promise this is not all doom and gloom. You aren't stuck in overload and anxiety. There are some things that you can do. So here are a few coping skills to help you manage your stress in your life a little better. I recognize that not all these will work for everyone. This is kind of general things that you can do to take control, when you're feeling overwhelmed. And if you do want to call and chat and find things that work better for you, because I've heard a ton of people call me and go, Christine, I've tried everything and nothing's working and I'm broken and I can't take care of things. And I promise you, you're not broken and you're not alone in feeling overwhelmed. So this one seems really simple, but it's really powerful. So name your feelings. Positive or negative, being able to say things out loud gives us and others a bit of a roadmap to help us get through the day and give each other a bit more grace. I always liken this to if you're lost on country roads and you finally get signal and you can load up your GPS, that's when you can finally figure out where you're going. So you can't get to your destination until you're figured out where you're at right now. And being able to name your feelings allows you to think a little bit more about what may have caused those feelings in the first place. So another one is being able to communicate when we need a little bit of space. When we're feeling overwhelmed and stressed, it's really easy to snap out in anger. And so being able to communicate, hey, need space, can help stop those fights between parents who are so overwhelmed now, because instead of having people, the usual schema of people dropping in and holding the baby so the parents can eat and dropping by meals and loving on the parents, I know that I've talked to previously before the pandemic, I talked to parents who were like, oh my gosh, people just won't stop dropping by and bringing gifts and bringing all this stuff. And that doesn't happen anymore. It's completely changed how people engage with parents. All of this is based in self-reflection. The basis of most coping skills is to be able to check in with yourself. I'm not saying you need a rock garden and a vow of silence for 2 weeks to find yourself, but to love yourself enough to check in when you feel yourself zoning out, when you feel yourself just exhausted at the beginning of the day. Check in with yourself and say, why am I feeling so anxious right now? Why am I feeling so overwhelmed? Why am I feeling depressed? Why am I feeling what I'm feeling that I can't even describe? And use that moment to reach out to people that you trust and you love, your partner, your mom and dad, your family, your friends. If you feel like you can't talk to anyone else, reach out to one of the organizations that was on this, that we've hosted on this call, or us. You're always welcome to reach out via phone or email just to have someone to talk to, because it is so important to talk. Now, like I said, not all of these will work for everyone. And if you have tried everything you can think of and you still need a little help figuring it out, there are options, there is help. You're not alone in figuring it out. So I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath again. And as you exhale and relax your shoulders and unclench your jaw, I want you to think about how easy it was to do that. I snuck this into our presentation to show how easy it is to integrate these skills into our lives and even our work and even our social spaces. Being able to take a deep breath and relax our muscles, it helps us relieve tension in our bodies. And that tension prevents us from being able to focus on the task at hand. I hope that this tip and others will help you with the day-to-day. The main focus that I hope you all take away from not just my talk, but the entire conference is that a man called Desmond Tutu, he knows a little bit about spearheading change, once said that we need to stop just pulling people out of the river. We need to go upstream and find out why they're falling in. And we've heard from so many wonderful people who are seeing where there are problems and actively making change. So this is the time that I come to you and ask, what do you need from us? As a parent, what programs, information, or support do you need in this time? And as professionals or organizations who come along, who want to come alongside the parent rooms as we determine what is needed to move forward and help us build new scripts post-pandemic. Thanks for coming along and swimming upstream in this current with us. Let's walk forward together.
Thank you so much, Christina. That's just wonderful. We are absolutely thrilled to have you working alongside us here at the Parent Rooms, and thank you for everything that you do and for all that you have shared. As you can see, I'm now joined with Michelle. We are sitting beside each other. She's been over there keeping me right all the way through this. So I'm actually not going to say anything more. So I'm handing over to Michelle, and she's going to finish up and close the conference for us. So
yeah. So the first thing I want to say is just thank you so much to Aware and I and Relate and I for sponsoring the conference. This kind of thing doesn't just happen on its own. It takes people to believe in us and keep these things going. And I want to say thank you to all of our speakers, everyone who came along and shared their expertise with us, all the parents who engaged, everyone who sent in a question, sent a message in the chat. It's really, really amazing just getting a load of people together who are really passionate about this kind of thing. And the whole theme of our conference was around building a village. And we've heard so many times today the importance of the village, even more so in this post-pandemic world. So I would like to end the conference with this invitation to you. If you're not part of our village, come and join us. If there's any ways that we can work together, if you're a parent and there's an idea that you have for how you would like to be supported, reach out and join us. This is all about collaboration. It's all about creativity. It's all about working together to improve lives for parents everywhere. So thank you very much for joining the conference. And if you have any questions at all, you can send them into the email. But for now, we'll let you go and enjoy your Friday afternoon. Thanks, everybody.
bye.